When you retire, you may get a chance to go to football heaven. This is football heaven.
Hey guys, welcome to The Mission. I'm your host, Jameer Howard, and as the Pro Football Hall of Fame continues its path to Canton, Ohio for Enshrinement 2022, today we get a chance to catch up with another finalist of this year's class for the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Joining me is Cincinnati Bengals legend and first-time finalist for the Pro Football Hall of Fame, Mr. Willie Anderson. Mr. Anderson, welcome to The Mission, sir.
Thank you for having me on.
Oh, man, I just want to say congratulations to you in so many different ways. Before we talk about your former team, 31 years of winning a playoff game, man, that's huge. But congratulations to you on being a finalist for this year's class of the Pro Football Hall of Fame. When you received that information, what did it mean to you, sir?
It meant so much, man, because so many people in Bengals Nation, my family and friends, we all been waiting for great things like this to happen for the organization. Even what you're saying, going back to the playoff win, there haven't been a Bengals playoff win since text messaging started. So, and I had a young fan ask me, a young player of mine, I have my academy down here in Atlanta, asked me, said, "Coach, were you playing then?" I'm like, "Nah, man, I was 16 years old in 91, hearing my name called as a finalist means so much to Bengals fans, my family, former Bengals, the guys. We always thought that none of our names would get called and no one would pay attention to our career. So it's huge, man.
I want to go back to 1996, first round, 10th selected. Man, what did that mean to you to be drafted by the Bengals?
It meant a lot, coming out of Mobile, Alabama. I just finished up at Auburn, my third year at Auburn, came out of school early. And ironically, Mike Brown, our owner of the Bengals, he was the only owner saying that no matter where Willie Anderson goes, if he's there at the 10th pick, we're getting him. So every other pick was in the air, but we all knew firsthand, that, if the Bengals, if I was at number 10, the Bengals were going to select me. So I kind of been knowing about it for months, even though I was hoping to go to Tampa, because I just got done playing the Outback Bowl down in Tampa, and I absolutely loved Tampa, and I was like, oh my God. And Coach Dungy called me. He called me. I was at home, my mom's house, my mom and stepdad's house. I was mowing the lawn because I decided to stay at home instead of going to the draft, because I found out that all my family and friends couldn't all go to the draft with me. So I said, you know what, we'll stay home, had the ESPN cameras come here, whatever. So I was at home, cut my mom's grass. And Coach Dungy called me, bro, and he was like, "You want to be a Buck?" I said, "Yes, sir." I said, "I just left Tampa. That sun down there." I'm like, yes. Come draft time, man, the pick came, and I want to say Oakland. They traded their pick to Oakland for Dudley, the tight end out of Ohio State, and I ended up going number 10 in the Bengals.
Wow, when you walked into that Bengals locker room for the first time, what was that energy like? And who were those veterans that welcomed you in and kind of took you under their wing and showed you how to be a pro?
It was different, because the Bengals, contrary to popular belief, they were learning how to win. Then that first season, before I got there, they went like 7-9, and we go 8-8 my first year. So I'm thinking that we're going to start, being a legit team. But I did have some veterans like Joe Walters, the guy who I was drafted to take his position, really came in and showed me a lot of love, man, under some crazy circumstances, because I was drafted to move Joe out of the way. And I ended up playing left tackle my rookie year because the guy got hurt. And but Joe Walters showed me so much stuff, how to take notes, how to, I knew I was a better athlete than Joe, because Joe played on the '88 Super Bowl team and I was 13 years old. So I got there like saying, "Yo, man, I remember you playing right tackle when I was like 13. You know what I mean? So to see Joe walking around him, and he had all the aches and cranks. Joe had like nine knee surgeries, bro, and his knees cranked and sounded up when he walked. But he taught me so much, because as I got older, I learned the game. Remember how Joe taught me the game as far as being a technician. Once my skills get slower, I mean, your abilities get slower, your skills take over. So I teach my guys that now in my academy, but that your skills will take you so long. And for me, having a guy like Joe Walters to show me the rope, I really appreciate that.
Now, did you ever get a chance to talk and learn from the great Pro Football Hall of Famer, Anthony Munoz?
Yes, Anthony and I talked. Anthony still comes around the team. You know, when I was playing, he stayed there in Cincinnati, so he would come around and definitely anytime you can have Anthony come in and talk to you about football. I've talked to Munoz in the airport about football. I asked him when I was playing, I said, man, you start coming around a lot more because we need this information from you, especially guys like myself. So he definitely stayed around for a long time and helped guys like myself. And then years later, helping a guy like Andrew Whitworth. So having that kind of stability at tackle to be able to talk to when you're a current tackle, because we always say playing offensive line, especially tackle for the Bengals, that's a big deal because of Anthony Munoz. And he's still right there in the city as the Bengals' only Hall of Fame, as probably the best offensive lineman of all time. So that pressure for you to live up to that is pressure. So when I came, it was pressure for me. It came for Levi Jones. It came for Andrew Whitworth. And I want to say that we all kind of held him to the standard because what Anthony set up for us.
You talk about pressure, man. Your rookie year. Now, we have you listed. I know you played on the right side, but you played on the left side your rookie year. If you could break that down for like our listeners and viewers that may not understand the technical side of football, if you could break down that, right side versus left side offensive tackle.
Yeah, so it's basically the right side of the line, the left side of the line. So I've been fighting for years to kind of calm down this myth of the whole left and right side. Because like I said, I started off my rookie year as a left tackle because the guy that had two guys got hurt. I was a rookie guy. I was supposed to play right or left, but I ended up playing left my whole rookie year for 10 games. And my second year, the guy who got injured came back. And if you know anything about the NFL back then, it was a running football league in the mid-90s. So the bigger defensive ends all played over the right tackles. Now, people wanted to give in the 80s, they wanted to build up the left tackle's height because it was a so-called blind side of the quarterback. But, also in the running game, it was a running league back then. The bigger guys, the Reggie Whites, the straight hands, they played at the left defensive ends over the right tackle. So we didn't really have a guy with that kind of power and size to play over there. And people always wondered, well, isn't left harder than right? In the 80s, it probably was when they only had one Lawrence Taylor over there, one guy over there, one. When I came to the league, these guys were everywhere. Like it was Strahan, it was Peppers, it was Kevin Green, it was all these guys, they were everywhere. So the whole blindside myth is, I showed a video the other day on Twitter of Tom Brady getting sacked and him looking to his left. He looked to his left, he couldn't see the right tackle getting beat and got sacked. And so I asked everybody, I said, where was Tom Brady's blind side then? His blind side is where we can't see it. If he's looking to his right, his left is his blind side. Looking straight, he probably had to feel both of these guys because he can't look at both of them at the same time. So the whole blind side thing to me got kind of crazy with the media hype of Lawrence Taylor in the 80s. And the media and scouts never changed the narrative of, hey, you need two really good tackles because these guys are coming from everywhere. In today's NFL, you got the Aaron Donalds of the world, now you need guards. Like, so if your guards are not great pass blockers, your QB's gonna get killed. So I blame the old media members and the old scouts who kind of never changed that narrative, because every year on ESPN draft, you say, oh, we need the next great left tackle. What about the guys blocking J.J. Watt and his brother, the young brother Watt over that side? Von Miller plays that side. What about those guys who play on that side? So you get on TV and you hear all the pundits say, the next great left tackle. Well, you need two. Tom Brady has his right tackle is Tristan Wirfs. He's an all-pro right tackle because he's shutting guys down. Like if Tristan Wirfs don't play this weekend, it might be hell to pay for Tampa, So that myth of left and right, man, it started back when Lawrence Taylor was dominating the league and people all ran to throw their best tackle, their best lineman on the left side. But years later, that changed, bro.
There it is. Willie Anderson has broke it down so it can never be. It's done. I appreciate that. So when you spoke of Michael Strahan, and when I think of the outpour of love of when finalists are announced and that class comes out and you hear the different pros and they're throwing, their name in the ring and saying, hey man, I want this guy to be there. What did it mean to you? And did you get a chance to listen to what Michael Strahan had to say about you?
I first heard about it at this Bengals super fan event. Our fans are so great, man. They're basically been begging the Hall of Fame voters to vote Bengal players in. So they had an event. My guy by the name of Bengals Jim had an event at Canton that I was the only player to show up. And Ben had been telling me he had been trying to get Strahan to do a video, and he and Jeff Hobson of Bengals.com of who's my presenter to the Hall of Fame voters, and it caught me by surprise. So I knew one video was coming of this one guy who did a breakdown of my career. But when the Strahan video came up, man, they caught a picture of me. I was filming it with my phone, and my friends and family were with me, and it caught me by surprise. I literally had tears in my eyes, man, because when you're playing against these guys, and everybody has professional pride, and sometimes when guys get done, they don't want to go talk about somebody who played against them, who were really good against them. But Michael, as you know, is so successful in every damn thing, football, off the field. He has so much, there's no ego with him. He was on vacation, I heard, and filmed that video for us. And Jim, the guy Jim had been tracking him down, and I didn't know he was gonna be able to do it because Michael was so busy. But the words he said in the video, man, like it just, he and Warren Sapp, Sapp said things in articles about me to Jeff Hobson that, those guys don't have to do that. And so when your former peers do that, it means a lot to you because then your family get a chance to see it. Because as a lineman, I was a tackle that played my first 7 years on losing teams that I couldn't go and gloat about myself because we were winning. I knew I was playing good football, but you couldn't say anything because you'd be perceived as a jerk. Your team is losing, but you're bragging about, well, my man got shut down. You know what I mean? So for years I played the humble lineman, and hoping that someone else would speak out for you. And so when those guys did that, man, it was just humbled my heart, and I was just grateful. So to the end of time.
Well, we do top 5 lists here, and I know there are only 4 listed here on the bio, but it says NFL sack leaders as Hall of Famers: John Randall, Bruce Smith, Michael Strahan, and Reggie White. You went up against these guys. You blocked these guys. Out of the guys I just named, of these Hall of Famers, who would you say was like your toughest opponents?
I blocked 9 of 10 of the top 13 guys on the list, from Julius Peppers and Kevin Green, a lot more guys, Chris Dolan. But by far, the toughest was Reggie White. Bruce Smith gave me fits. Bruce beat me in the end of the game. It's a quick story about Bruce. So I grew up wanting to be Bruce Smith or Reggie White. Every offensive lineman never wanted to be an offensive lineman. We all wanted to be either running the ball or a defensive guy. I grew up wanting to be Bruce Smith or Reggie White. So my rookie year, playing Buffalo, I go into the game like, look, man, this is gonna be a tough game. That was the year Bruce was Defensive Player of the Year. And I end up, watching the film because I have all my games on film. The Bengals gave me all my hard drives, give me a hard drive for all my games. So about 2 years ago, I watched the film, and I was like, damn, I shut Bruce down. I said, but every play was I shut him down for 4 quarters, and except one play. But every play was like he was giving me a headache, and he could have almost beat me on every doggone play. It was like he was just giving me the business. But I ended up shutting him down, and we were losing the game. He leaves the game about 3 minutes in the game. I'm happy as hell. Like, oh man, my rookie year, I just shut down Bruce. I'm super happy. He on the sideline with his hat on, but he got his arms crossed. And we run a play, and I look at him, make sure he's still on the sideline. I make sure he's still on the sideline. Run another play, I see him grab his helmet. I'm like, what is he doing? My QB is our backup QB, Eric Wilhelm. He's calling the play. I'm looking on the sideline, looking at Bruce Smith strapping his helmet up. It's like 1:30 in the game. They up 3 touchdowns. I'm like, what is he doing? He walks on the field. I can't even hear the play. I'm watching him like, oh, goodness, he came back in the game. And man, for one play, the next play he came in, and I know he was pissed because he hadn't beat the rookie tackle yet. And man, he came in and did that signature dip move while I thought I had him. He dipped parallel to the ground so low, I couldn't get low enough to get him. He spent me in circles, and before I looked up, he's in our quarterback's face. And back then, that was a commercial that Nike had with Dennis Hopper, with Bruce Smith. And it was like, Bruce Smith, he's a bad man. That video played in the video in Buffalo Stadium. I'm distraught as a 21-year-old rookie, just distraught. Watching the video that I grew up watching, the video, He's a bad man. But by far the toughest for me was Reggie White, because I know to me the greatest. I've never faced anybody that was stronger, just as strong or stronger than I was. I was 23 years old, he was 36 years old, and it felt like your dad was grabbing hold to you as a young boy, telling you something. and I have the videos, like I say, I shut Reggie up, but Reggie beat me up so bad that I felt my skeleton hurting for like 5 weeks, like my lungs, my bones, my skeleton, the inside of my body was hurting. And I always said, how can guys who are not 340 the way I was then, how can they block him? How can a man block him at 305 pounds? It's impossible. It's impossible. I was 340, so he had a hard time hump moving me because I was a big dude and moving my feet. But I was like, how can guys smaller than me face this force? And that was his last year at Green Bay, he had 16 sacks and led the league in sacks. He was a monster, man. But just every part of my body hurt: wrist, head, neck, toes, lungs, everything after the game.
Willie, I got to ask you this, man. It says you blocked for 9 1,000-yard rushers, as well as Corey Dillon's 2 NFL record-breaking games, 246 yards for his rookie record and 278 yards for the all-time record. Please tell me that Corey Dillon, got you a watch, a stereo system. Okay.
He did. And Corey Dillon, to me, is a Hall of Famer, man. I always say this, if folks get mad at me about Corey Dillon, I'm on different sort. Matter of fact, there was a post on Instagram on the NFL Films today of Eddie George and Corey Dillon highlights. And every time I get a Corey Dillon highlight on Instagram or Twitter, I go in and say, if you give you've given Corey Dillon a solid passing game, he puts up top 5 numbers. Rushing wise, the game he set the Walter Payton record, we threw for like 24 yards. It's amazing. He ran for 22 carries. His first 7 or 9 carries were for losses. Like, he faced more 8-9 man boxes than any running back. And those guys didn't face those 8-9 man boxes because they had a passing game with receivers taking the safeties out of the box. We would have 8-9 men in the box until Corey, the last one, that's your guy. You know what I mean? That's you. You got to run him over, make him miss, and do something. But no other running backs, they didn't have that pressure to run with that kind of defenses all surrounded on them. And Corey still put up some all-time numbers. That's why I say he gets so overlooked, man. One of the greatest runners ever, in my opinion.
Well, Willie, I got to ask you, man, because I just see, what I always used to hear, offensive linemen say, man, we just love to strap it up and take it to guys. And it starts up front with us. What got you going on game day? Like, if you give me your game day kind of ritual that got you going.
Well, I was a little different because even how I teach my guys now, I'm more, the game for us kind of switched. So when I came to the league, the NFL was all about running the football. So for us, that was Corey Dillon. We had Garrison Hurts for a year, but the majority of Corey Dillon running the football, getting Corey his yards, meaning we're going to have a successful day. Pretty much teams knew we stopped the Bengals with Corey Dillon. That's it. You know what I mean? So, but as Carson Palmer came along, and I always say this, when the Bengals gave Carson that $100 million, our mindset changed from like, hey, run the football, but at all costs, protect this dude right here at all costs, because everybody in the city will hate your guts if you're the guy that let Carson get hurt, similar to what's going on now with Joe Burrow. So I wanted to be I came in the league as a dominant run blocker, but to me, I always looked at pass blocking as a spiritual thing. So I was one of the more calmer guys. I wanted to listen to something to calm my mind down. And I would tell my young linemen about, the guys I played with, hey, man, you need to, I love rap music just as much as anybody else. Love rap music, but before a game, linemen, we have to be such in a controlled aggression state. I don't want anything that hypes me up. I want to stay at an even keel. I'm kind of like visualizing the first 10 pass rush moves in my mind, because, like I say, in the beginning, you want to go dominate guys in the run game, but as we got a quarterback, say, hey, man, whatever I do, my guy's not touching Carson today. You know what I mean? I'm not going to have my team in the city hate my guts because Carson gets hurt. So I wanted to be a more cerebral guy, and I believe that pass blocking is such a spiritual thing with your body and your mind to be able to have to defend a guy who's 40 pounds lighter than you, more athletic than you. So your mindset has to be in a control, what a friend of mine calls having a cool brain. The guys who have the hot brains, they kind of struggle with pass protection. All the great guys you see, they're all cool guys. Their brains are calm. It's cool. They're not overheating. They're able to smile in the huddle. And that was kind of my game. I wanted to be a calm, collected guy, but still be aggressive and, rough and tumble.
When you talk about passing games, man, you guys had TJ Houshmandzadeh, Chad Ochocinco. What was it like being in the locker room with him, man? Because he was a trip. Because at the time I was working with the Cleveland Browns, he was sending Earl Little, Pepto-Bismol. He was what? He was something.
Chad was ahead of his time, man. Like Chad was like, I was one of the guys that used to kind of get on Chad about some of that stuff, and I kind of hate it now because I didn't get on him too bad, but he backed it up. Because one thing you can say about Chad, I said all the time, I said, man, Chad practiced more than I did. I was an older guy. Chad practiced every doggone day. You know what I mean? He talked trash. He made funny jokes. And he never was a guy that made us lose with his antics. He never did that. It was just something he did individually that now would be celebrating the league right now. They just find this man all his money. And now the league is wanting guys to dance and entertain. Like he and T.O. would have been great in this era right here. So with Chad, man, he competed his tail off. And I think that's kind of one thing that kind of got misconstrued in all things that he did, that he competed. He practiced every day. He was funny as hell. He said some funny stuff that made older guys like myself kind of chuckle. You know what I mean? And you laugh about it because he would say some crazy stuff. One of the funny stories with Chad, we play in Baltimore, and I'm in the locker room. And early in my career, I used to go out for pregame warm up and watch the other players and kind of run around the field. And I got older, I'm like, man, I'm not going out there until the game starts. Like, I'll warm up inside. But Chad and the receivers are always out there, throwing the football, talking to the opposing players. And Chad thought everybody loved Chad. So we in Baltimore, and my guy, rest in peace, Big Zeus, Orlando Brown, was out there warming up with his headsets on. And Zeus is a big dude, 6'9", 360, mean, tough-ass guy. And Chad sees him, and Zeus is, and like, it's funny because I told his son this story. His son said, yeah, my dad used to be so serious before games. His son is Orlando Brown Jr. from the Chiefs.
Yes, sir. I was with the Browns with him. Yeah,
there you go. Chad goes and jumps on Zeus' back, playing around with him. Zeus throws him off, turns around. Chad sees a fits of rage in his eyes. Chad takes off, running, took tail into the locker room. I'm in the locker room sitting down reading the pregame magazine. He come in yelling, screaming, breathing on hard. He said, Big Willie, man, Zeus trying to kill me. And he was literally scared out of his mind. I said, yo, man, stay your ass in here then, leave him alone. Like, you leave that man alone.
This was a very big man.
Man,
I think that was
made me look. I came to Baltimore my last year in Baltimore. Zeus made me look little. Zeus was retired. 2008, he's retired with Baltimore. My last year with the Baltimore Ravens. He would come to every game and pump the linemen up. So as the linemen walk out the tunnel, he's hitting guys on top of their heads. Zeus, don't touch me, bro. Don't hit me. I just watched him give my guy in front of me, Adam Keefe, a concussion. I said, Bruce, Zeus, don't hit me, dog. Don't hit me. Zeus is a big man, so. I
was at the game. I witnessed. I was on the sidelines, worked for the organization when he got hit in the eye.
Oh yeah, yes.
The flag.
Yes.
Rest in peace, Zeus. But
that was
a very heartbreaking moment, man.
Absolutely.
But switching gears a bit, talking about your Cincinnati Bengals, how excited are you for the city, the fan base, and for the team?
Man, I'm super hyped, man. Like, I'm one of the old guys that we all cheering for these guys because we wanted that to be us, and we wanted to be somebody, and we're tired of hearing the narrative, the Bengals jokes, you know what I mean? Because whatever team you play for, and the current state of your team, you kind of go through that too. Mm-hmm. The same where it's not as bad as our college alma maters, but once you play on a team, especially as a team I played for the Bengals for 12 years, yes, I want to see them win. I want to see those young guys feel the excitement that we wanted to have. Like we knew how big winning the division in 2005, that was a big deal. It took me 10 years for that to happen. And I know the feeling of that. I know the expectations and the anticipation of the city wanting a playoff win. So when that happened for those guys, I was so happy, man, because I just remember the feeling I had my first pregame playoff game, and my college buddy Wayne Gandy, longtime NFL tackle, he called me and congratulated me on the day of the game because he knew I waited 10 years to be in the playoff game. So to see the Bengals go through this, man, so many Bengals stories. Like, you guys can't imagine, man, like from 91 and not winning the playoff game to what's happening in that city right now, huge things. So my hats to Zach Taylor and all those guys in Cincinnati. Big time.
That's amazing, man. I know we talked in depth about your toughest opponents, but you know what? You mentioned as an offensive lineman, you always wanted to run the ball and things of that nature. So I had to ask you, who were your top 5 players growing up? Your top 5 favorite players?
Oh, like I said earlier, no current offensive lineman or former offensive, none of us wanted to grow up to be offensive linemen. I deal with that with kids right now. I got kids want to be running backs and their parents tell them that they're D linemen. But my favorite was Walter Payton, Tony Dorsett. Like I say, running backs was the kings in the 80s. Bruce Smith, Reggie White, and if I would say my 5th one growing up, Deion Sanders. I was a huge prime time. I wanted to be prime time. Once I learned in college that playing tackle and being one-on-one was kind of the equivalent of a cornerback being one-on-one. And I saw the things that Deion Sanders were doing by himself on the island, just freaked me out once I learned how great he was.
Wow. Unfortunately, Willie, we lost a giant this year, and head coach John Madden. And want to get your take on, because Madden always talked about the guys up front. He loved you guys. What did he mean to the game of football? And more importantly, what did he mean to you?
What he meant to the game of football and me and every offensive lineman that ever played football, he was the last guy to celebrate us. He was the guy, think about it, he made those Dallas Cowboys offensive linemen famous. He made the Kevin Gogans, the fighters, the guys, the grunts, back then, like I say, it was a running league. It wasn't about anybody shutting anybody down, pass rush is how it became in my time. It was about brute physical football, and he celebrated that. I mean, he gave guys food after games. I mean, it was a lineman's world. Like, we needed John Madden in today's football, in the social media age football, when everything is about fantasy football and quarterbacks and receivers. John Madden gave us big guys hope. Like, guys wanted to be on the John Madden All-Madden team just as much as they wanted to be on the Pro Bowl team or All-Pro, because it meant you were a tough guy. Like quarterbacks wanted to be on the All-Madden team because it meant you were a tough. It's probably the biggest, football tough guy award that a football player can get in the National Football League. And and obviously everybody sees him because of the games, of the Madden game. But to me, the impact he made, he celebrated offensive linemen. And as he got out of the boot, you kind of seen less and less of that. They do a small part on linemen right now. But everything now is follow the ball and celebrating the guys who attack the ball carriers. So, but the linemen, we miss John Madden, and the whole world misses him. But I think he did such a huge thing to celebrate offensive linemen. So a guy like me watching in high school and college, I wanted to be Eric Williams of the Cowboys, because that was John Madden's guy. Eric Williams was his guy. And I just told Eric Williams that recently, that said, man, I grew up wanting to be Eric Williams. It was my hero because John Madden made him so popular to watch. They focused on Eric Williams fighting Reggie White, like literally fighting him. They focused on that Dallas offensive line just destroying guys for Emmitt Smith, and it was huge, man. So he meant so much to me and NFL community.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. Now, did you ever have a time where you got a chance to actually physically talk to him and meet him?
No, he got out of the game. He got out of the game very early on in my career, and it turned to something else.
Got you. Yes. Well, before we let you go, man, just looking at your career and looking at the numbers, Willie, do you feel like you left everything out there on the field?
2008, I'm playing for the Baltimore Ravens in the championship game versus Pittsburgh. I'm on the bottom of the pile. We ran a run play, and great Pittsburgh defensive end Aaron Smith. He and I had so many battles at Cincinnati when I played at Cincinnati, and now we're battling when I'm playing in Baltimore. And I'm on the bottom of the pile, and some kind of way I get turned around on my butt, and my knees were bent. And Willis McGahee got tackled, and about 9, 10 guys came and flattened both my knees out. So I'm on the ground like this, yelling, get up, because my knees I thought I broke my kneecap or something. And my left knee it swole so bad, bro. It hurt so bad. I finished the game, I was limping like a zombie. And that game was so physical. That game was probably the most physical ball game I've ever been in my life. I thought Ryan Clark killed Willis McGahee on the pass. You ever seen the pass he float? Ryan Clark, he destroyed Willis McGahee. I thought he was dead in the football field. I was so beat up after that game. It was so cold. They told senior citizens don't come to the game in Pittsburgh. It's so cold. So I begged my mom not to come. And I told my friend who's a pastor in Cincinnati, one of my best friends in the world, Floyd Walker. I said, Floyd, make sure my mom missed her flight. He said, why? I said, bro, it's gonna be too cold. She shouldn't be in Pittsburgh. But my mom kept saying she just had a feeling that it might be my last game. I never told anybody that, but on the bus, that game was so physical, man. I retired on the bus home. And I was like, I can't do it anymore. Like I told Ozzie Newsome, I said, Ozzie, if I probably can sneak out 1 or 2 more years, but I really feel like I'm gonna die on the football field because I'm taking pills to practice, I'm taking shots, not to play, to practice. And that would have destroyed my body probably even more if I'd have kept going. And so I gave, almost 200 games. That was it for me, man. I retired on the bus. I knew in the off season when I tried to go run one day, I was like, I just don't have the desire anymore to put my body through this again. And it'd be sad. I was sad thinking about it, but I was like, I couldn't have kept playing. I wanted to, but it was like I just couldn't. So.
Wow, man. Well, thank you for sharing that. And we
No
wish
doubt.
you nothing but the best of luck right here at the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Willie Anderson, ladies and gentlemen, Cincinnati Bengals legend and first-time finalist for the class of the Pro Football Hall of Fame, right here on The Mission. Thank you, Willie.
Thank you, bro.